Many Chinese consumers take a 7-day unconditional return for granted, but it doesn't seem to apply to digital games. Though digital games are virtual, they're tradable. Why are their refund policies so different from that of physical goods? Have you ever struggled to get a refund because you accidentally bought the wrong game? This time, let's talk about game refunds. Gaming platforms can be broadly classified into 3 categories: loose, slightly straight, and Nintendo. Among them, GOG is the only one inheriting the stupidity of CDPR, extending the refundable time to 30 days. Many fans backed it to retract the decision under official block, while Nintendo's policies no refunds under any circumstances unless required by law. Unlike general goods and physical games, the refund policy for digital games is difficult to standardize, which is mainly caused by following factors. Firstly, digital games have no use traces. Generally, most of physical goods are not refundable after use. However, digital games cannot be tracked for use. Unlike a new smartphone with the registration on sealed physical game or a one-time verification code, the use of later is traceable, and loss of use value of goods is clear. That's why some platforms use now downloaded as condition for refund, but this throws a race to players. How could players know whether a game is good or not without trying it out? Once they play it, they can't apply for a refund, and even if the game is boring, they can only blame bad luck and keep it gathering dust. There's nothing they can do about it because according to platform's logic, it has been opened. This does make it difficult to judge. What about after a trial period? Many platforms take a 14 days plus 2 hours refund policy. That's the second point we're making. Defining refunds in terms of playtime is a good idea, but it can't be applied to all digital games. For some small games, 2 hours of try time is enough to get through the game. Many indie games on Steam experience malicious refunds. In July 2021, Amiga Games, a Russian independent game studio, released a psychological horror game, Summer 58. The problem was that it was only 90 minutes long and a large number of players initiated refunds after passing the game. A month later, the 1% indie game studio tweeted quitting, and the new horror game in production from day to day was halted. As a player, it feels good to be a freeloader like Scrougy and XGP. I don't think malicious freeloading is something good. It deprives indie game producers of rewards they deserve, brings them great loss, and kills their love of games. It also deprives players of potential good games. And for some big games, 2 hours is simply not enough to experience gameplay and plot. So a flat trial time isn't a good solution to a problem digital games are refunding. When you take the first step to save the world, you find it's a world full of bugs. To get the refund, it's too late. In addition, if the physical goods have quality problems, the return fund is very convenient. However, if the digital games have bugs, it's still difficult to get refund. This is our third point. Are the game's bugs equal to quality problems? How many bugs are considered quality problems? Unfortunately, there's no standard. For example, Cyberpunk 2077 had many bugs, of course, is of poor quality. When they debated, players were so dissatisfied that after CDPR open refunds, Sony and Microsoft had to soften the refund terms. Sony even provided a separate refund page, but the PC distribution platforms led by Steam didn't offer the same policy. Battlefield 2042 also drew the ire of the public for too many bugs, but on the contrary, Steam opened up a full refund over 14 days this time. While the production company did nothing, and still the players up on the update led a refund service despite many bad reviews on Steam. The game's bugs are awful, and the messy refund conditions are even more frustrating. However, there should be a solution to 2042's troubles. Some players indignantly petitioned to defend their rights through a class action lawsuit. Although as many as 230,000 people participated in this joint action, they failed to file a lawsuit. Lawyers said that was because players lacked legal support, while EA's user agreement provided strong legal protection. I looked through the user agreement and didn't find even a word that implied you bought, you got. Do you know who the owner of the game is? It's a producer, all along. Players' accounts belongs to distribution platforms. Players pay only to get a copy of the game data contained in download and installation services provided by platforms, which can neither be transferred nor sold, nor even inherited. That's why an account is called a pass. We only got a ticket to online part from platform and needed to pay extra money for rights. And if we make troubles, we'll be thrown out at any time and banned from entering forever. As for other rights and interests, hold on, is there any? Julie can't lie to anything about it, sorry. No. The company's legal affairs are now wasted, and and where games are their specialty. They fail and dodge potential pitfalls when they job user agreements and perform well even when there are lawsuits. In 2018, Nintendo, based in Germany, was sued by Germany Consumer Protection Authority. The Norwegian Consumer Council investigated 7 digital game sales platforms and found that Nintendo was the only one that didn't offer refunds for pre-ordered games, that they argued violated consumers' right of withdrawal under EU law. Nintendo defended that players could download right after pre-ordering, which marked the completion of the transaction, and that EU law provides that digital content to be exempt from the right of withdrawal with the consent of consumers. Again, Nintendo won. Nevertheless, Nintendo modified no refund to refund 7 days before official release later. In December 2021, the Higher Regional Court of Frankfurt rejected Nintendo's claim for immunity. Nintendo hasn't revised terms or responded since then. Finally, the players won strongest legal department in this for once, although it wasn't a complete victory. Company's legal department aside, legal terms vary around the globe. Regularized game refunds uniformly by law is hard enough to get Trump to admit he knows nothing about COVID. The nature of taxation of each game company is different, and they won't join hands to set industry standards to solve the problem. Big companies like Nintendo with game development strength, hardware patents, and super game IPs naturally have greater voice. The distribution-focused platforms like Steam are relatively weak, and a loose refund policy helps it attract and retain players, especially in the face of competitors like XGP and Epic, who have cash power and commonly grab users by offering free games. In a word, the refund agreements currently followed by respective platforms are shaped by consideration and given by many parties. Indie game developers face the greatest risk because they have little voice in the market and are easily exploited by players. Turning to players, they seem to have power to decide whether a game is successful or not, but in fact, they are also a vulnerable group. In the face of the game companies and platforms that occupies a high position of information difference, it's difficult for players to defend their rights through law, let alone influence refund terms. I have no idea of how a refund policy that would satisfy the game developers, platforms, and players could be developed. I just know it's a long way off. Thank you for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you enjoy it.